Hey everyone, welcome back to the Cull Room. I'm Aayush, founder of FilterPixel, and we have built this room sessions for you. And we have a special guest today. We built this series to take photographers like you behind the closed doors of the industry, to see and show you the real workflows and how these pros work. Joining us today in this second episode will be Edris Tusan. Edris is someone with a slightly different story than most guests you will see in this room. He spent over a decade in Canadian TV industry, producing content for brands like NHL, NBA, and UFC, and then created his own YouTube channel, which is Beyond the Game, a YouTube channel that teaches 95,000 creators today how to break into sports photography and videography. So he knows the sports and he knows the camera. He knows the business media. Before we move further, Edris, I would like to ask one specific question. You know, we have seen in sports photography, we are taking a lot of burst shots. Like we don't want to miss the moment. So we try to capture, we need to click the shutter like so many times because we don't want to miss anything. How many photos have you clicked like during a session? What exactly is that number that you are clicking?
Yeah, well, that's something I've been wondering myself as well when I started. I was like, what's the right amount of pictures? Because there's a lot. Through a professional sporting event that goes like 2.5 hours, and there's stuff pre-game and even during the breaks, you're shooting sometimes fans or some sponsors, that sort of stuff, or what's happening on the court if there's like a halftime show or activation of some sort. So you can easily end up with like 4 or 5 thousand photos. So that's a lot to go through, which is why culling is such an important part of it, because that's the first thing I learned after my first experience. And I looked at the amount of photos. Like the project that I have today, it doesn't have that many, but yeah, typically it's definitely in the thousands. So it's like, yeah, you realize that there's all these photos. A lot of them look exactly the same because there's bursts of photos. So there'll be like 15, 20 of them that look very similar. So how do you go through all these photos and try to find the best 10, 15, or 30? That's,
Yeah.
yeah, that was my main question when I started, and that's how I found you guys.
When we talk to our customers,
Mm,
we realize sports is totally a different ball game altogether. They don't call like a wedding or a portrait photographer. They have plenty of time. They have plenty of time to deliver. They have plenty of time
mm,
to think through how to place the subject. So they are not going to have the same problems in culling that sports photographer is going to have. And that's why we
that's
need to
true.
come out with different ways or different AI capabilities for sports and weddings or portraiture. So we created Deep Cull, which you might have used, which is
Yeah,
taking care of different genres with different criteria. So for a sports photographer, we know, what is important, like the ball visibility and how much is the distance between the ball and the subject. And we make sure that the AI understands that part of the, game rather than expression of the subject or how they are holding their hands together because they don't hold hands in sports, they hold hands in wedding. So because the context changed, right, we we just need to come out with different and innovative ways. So would love if you can take our audience today through a deep cult project that you have created or used, and maybe a photographer today from here can learn what is it helping out with and what actually happens in a workflow.
yeah, for sure, definitely. I can
Okay,
show you guys.
sure.
I basically have a basketball game, a high school level basketball tournament. I didn't, like I said, like there's not 5,000 photos in this one because I was also filming a little bit, and the games are faster as well. So there's only 1,400, but still, full 1,400 is still a lot of photos to go through. So yeah, having something like this, I didn't even know before I started the photography. I didn't even know what culling was. I never heard that term before, so I really learned, with this app, and I find it interesting because yeah, like that now, like the deep call has already been done, but basically the fact that I assume once I learned what it was, I assumed that it would just be like little technical things like blurry photos or eyes closed, things like that. But the fact that it can also go into, you tell it specifically it's a basketball game and it's going to pick photos that are specific to basketball, that to me is amazing. Like I'm like when you obviously when you put the amount, because you can choose how many like photos you want to select as like your best ones. I've put, in this case, I've put like 100. I'm not going to end up with 100 photos, but I've put enough that I feel comfortable going through that 100 and finding the ones that I feel are best, because I already know there's
Okay.
not 100 great photos in there. Like there's not, I'm not taking 100 great photos, that's for sure. So it's, if I can end up with like a 12, 15 kind of range, I'll be happy. So I put 100 so that way I make sure I didn't want to like eliminate too many photos. So that's, to me, that's kind of, so far has been sort of my way to go about it. Like I'll put 100 and then I'll go through that 100, and maybe if I have time, I'll quickly browse through the review folder just to make sure. But otherwise, I can go from there and and basically open it and just go into like all these photos that are like, if we open it, what I really like as well is the grouping thing, because
Ah,
like I said earlier, I shoot in bursts. So I often get 10, 15, 20 photos that look very similar. Like if we go through all these, this is all the
yeah,
same sort
very
of burst.
similar.
So doing this in the browser and going one by one and trying to figure out, like, it's a lot easier here to just sort of go through the different pictures and then go, oh, once I, okay, let's say maybe not that one because it looks a bit boring, but like, let's say for example, like, let's just take this one. All right, so I got this guy, I like it. So in that there's a grouping, so I can then go through these and select the one
Uh,
that I like the best. So I really like that. Just that sort of, the way it's organized, that really helps me. It's a much faster sort of process. And then having the analysis as well, the AI analysis is helpful too, because it kind of tells you what's good and what's not about it. So I like it, and sometimes you can disagree as well. Like emotion expression, for example, that it's very true. There's not much emotion in this photo, but I like the fact that some, like, I could potentially crop in and just take like a super close up of the
ice
face, and then
drop.
it
Yeah.
would become a bit more emotional. So, but it's fun to have like the reasons and the more of a, like, the analysis that tells you exactly what's good and what's not about this one,
Well,
like about the photo.
there's a story behind why we have introduced this reasoning capability of the AI. We might have
Okay.
hidden it behind the bars because it seems technical to few people about why you were telling me what criteria you are suggesting. Like, I don't want to know this, just get my job done, man. But, like, the reason is a lot of people turned out to us saying we don't understand how it picks photos, how it rejects photos, whether it does it
Mm,
like I do it, or uh, they feel it's like a black box because they have seen the experience of a culling tool so far in the market like a black box, which does
mhm,
not tell you why it's selected or rejected. It just tells you it's selected or rejected. And we thought like it would be a nice idea to open the box to let people know and feel it, like why it has done that kind of a selection or rejection. Maybe that would give them some insights on how to shoot better, or give them some insights on what AI is picking, what AI is learning, and maybe they will trust the system more. And if they trust the system more, then they can rely on it for their shoots. So that was the only reasoning to put some stuff which only the software developers were seeing before towards the customer. And now
yeah.
customers have the full transparency of what exactly is happening on the photo.
Well, it's a great idea. I totally agree with the sentiment behind it, because yeah, it's true that, like, if AI is telling you this is good, this is bad, um, you don't really know why, and you can question, is it right or is it wrong? Like, who knows? So to have the explanation and telling you exactly why they think it's good, then it's up to me to decide if I agree, because now I know the reasons, I know the explanation, and if it does make sense, and it's like, oh yeah, it's true. There is like good action, good storytelling, good everything. It is a good picture. Let me put it in my in my keepers list, and move on to the next one. So yeah, it does make it it's reassuring, and it makes it easier and ultimately faster, which is the whole point of
Yeah,
doing our approach. It like I'm not looking for the AI to do the job for me, because ultimately it's my content, it's my name, it's my reputation. So I want to be in control and make sure that the decisions ultimately are mine, and it's the photos that are ending up being the one chosen are the ones that I'm comfortable with. But if AI can help me kind of go through that process faster and point me in the direction that makes that process faster, but also like just eliminates things that I would for sure eliminate. Like that's more what I like about it. Like just eliminating like the obvious and just giving me more the ones that are more complex and that I can go through and select myself. I really like that, because yeah, it's just trimming the fat basically, and just getting to the real stuff. And once I'm in there, like I said, really convenient way of going through photos. You can even like zoom in and do all these things. So being able to quickly go through all the photos and select the best ones, that's a few hours saved right there, and it's very
100%.
helpful when you come back with thousands of photos.
A tip for the audience, who are looking at this live, if even if you are scared about AI, even if you are scared about using it in your workflow today, you need to look into the products that are coming up. Give it a try. Maybe they will not
Mm,
save you the entire time you were expecting, but they will cut down a lot of time that you might have to spend today in better things like growing your business, taking a vacation, or maybe rethinking about a lot of things in your business, like the client experience, upgrading your contracts, increasing your pricing. Everybody loves that,
mm,
right? And as a business owner, because you are so busy in doing all the things, you need systems in place. And this is only one system in place. It's not something that is replacing someone. It's a system
mm.
in place. If you have a system in place, it will save you time, energy, give you bandwidth, like how you make yourself productive throughout the years.
Yeah, oh, I agree. And also, like for me, if I like I said, I've been doing this a long time, and when I first started in videography, um, yeah, the tools weren't obviously what they are today. So we didn't have time to do everything that we're doing today. Like a cameraman was just a cameraman, a video editor was just a video editor, a sound person was a sound person. And now you kind of have to do all these together, because first of all, there's a lot more demand, but also the tools are allowing you to do so. It's much easier to use a camera now than it was 20 years ago. It's much easier to do video editing than it was 20 years ago. And now you have the time and the resources to do both. And so everything evolves kind of in a direction where there's more and more demand, there's more and more work to do, but you can do more yourself with the proper tools. So I feel like from the photography side of things, this is like the equivalent. This is where you can produce video photos on the day, turning around photos pretty quickly, edited and ready to go. Um, because of tools like this, but it doesn't take away the fact that you're the one taking them, choosing them, editing them. You're just doing it in a way that is much more efficient, basically.
100%, 100%. I definitely agree. So we are going to give you a challenge address, right? Nobody wants
Yeah.
to show the photos that the AI rejected because nobody wants to show. So I want to challenge you and see what the AI has rejected in this gallery.
Yeah.
Maybe it will not be 100% correct, but I still want to see. I'm very curious to
Yeah. Yeah.
look
We can do that.
into, and I think it would be better for our audience as well to look into what the AI is. It just a blurry, or is it like something? which
Well, straight
AI
away,
is
this
having a
one,
good reasoning about. Wow, that
this one
that
I can see why.
yeah, even you don't need to open the
Definitely,
reasoning for that.
yeah, exactly. There's a couple of those.
There's a
And then
couple
this
of
one is,
shots like the motion
see,
blur, the cut crops.
see,
Okay, okay.
yeah. Like for example, this one, if it wasn't out of focus, could be a good picture. If I was
Yes.
cropping in and just taking these two guys, it would be a great photo, but it's completely out of focus, so completely
Mm.
unusable. And I'm assuming the others, yeah, in the group are the same.
Okay, so it's like a burst
Um,
shot which is out of focus that the AI
yeah,
is picking.
exactly. And then this one, I guess it's in focus, but it's kind of boring. It's a referee from the back, so nothing very exciting to see here. And well, this one could be all right. As you see,
Okay,
like the
so
rating's
here
not that
here
bad
we are.
actually.
We like this photo. I'm just checking like the AI might have given it a 1 star. If we just make it 5 stars, we can actually take it back. Like just in case,
Yeah,
we want
yeah,
some
that's true.
extra photos. Okay, you just make it 5 stars here.
Yeah, you could see. There you go.
Yeah, so that goes to our best
Back in
collection
business.
now. We're back to business.
And then if we
So
go
I just
here, it
want to
should
show
be
how easy it was for our users who are seeing this, how easy it was to take it back. Just in case you liked something and it got rejected, just a click to take it back to business. Well,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
a great showcase of the product. Edris, are there something specific that you want to talk about before we take this screen share off?
Like with the culling side of things, not really. I just like I said, I just like the fact that it helps me pick like different like I usually go with the color system. So I put like green, yellow, and red. So it's easier for me. It's like three options. So you got the best is green, the review is yellow, and then the reject is red. And then I'll use the stars to pick my ones that I want to export later on, and or I can just put the other ones in the rejected pile. But whatever I choose to do, but like I like the idea of like doing all the organization on the culling side of things, and then I can move on from there and do my thing. But yeah, overall, I'm really happy with that side of things, and just excited about. I haven't really touched or learned much of like the editing side of thing is kind of my next step in terms of like learning and get better at. Like I'm kind of okay with Photoshop because I produce like thumbnails for my YouTube videos, but that's about it. So I'm learning. This is a new skill that I'll need to learn. So I'm sure that eventually FilterPixel will be able to help
Yeah.
me with that as well. But at the moment, I'm more into the culling side of things, and yeah, so far so good.
Well, just a secret, you know,
Oh,
something new is coming to editing, and we are excited about that. We have been working on it for a while. The people who are tuning in, just wait and watch.